digitalization has changed our lives remarkably. When I started my career in the 1990s as a naval architect, I had to travel back then as well. But I was normally able to call my family maybe once a week because the mobile phone charges were so high. So I didn't want to have that discussion with the exchequer of the company later on. Nowadays, when I'm traveling, I have an app where I can check the exact location of all my children and my husband. And currently, when I checked it just 10 minutes ago, my son and one of my daughters, they were in Finland. Another daughter was in UK, and my husband was in Poland. By the way, they all were in agreement that I'm the lucky one because I'm in Greece. But yes, it's very different today from when I started my career. Now, what I'm going to tell you a little bit about today is 1SEA. 1SEA is a company alliance. I'm going to tell you a little bit about who we are, why we are working with autonomy and related technologies, and what we do. I will try to give you a little bit of a glimpse of what is happening globally, and depending on the time. But let's start with introducing myself and the alliance I'm representing. So 1SEA aims to make commercial autonomous maritime traffic happen by 2025. We do what is needed for that to happen, that goal. I work for a company called DIMEC. Since we are a company alliance, so many companies are participating in the work, you can understand that these big companies do not wish their competitors to be leaders over them, so that is the reason why DIMEC was asked to lead the 1SEA work. These are the members in 1SEA Alliance. The ones in the blue, in the boxes with blue around them, they are the companies who are 1SEA members. We also have partners who support the work, such as, for example, Royal Institution of Naval Architects, etc. As you can see, the effort has been initiated. I think you can see that there is a lot of activity in the northern parts of Europe, but we believe that this is widening the scope. There are more and more companies joining 1SEA, and there are more and more efforts around the globe to initiate these technologies. So that was who we are. Then comes the question, why are we doing this? Now, commercial maritime traffic is not an endeavor of let's say, charity or something like that. We work as a business, and the most important driver for any new technologies to be introduced, unless that is through regulation, is that there must be a financial gain to be gained. And surprisingly enough, I would say that many people expect the biggest gain to come from having less seamen on board. This is not necessarily the case. There are several different ways of finding cost efficiency through autonomous technologies. For example, if we look at the ocean-going global trade, the part of the seamen of the total cost structure is very low, and there is not much point in reducing seamen. The gains are to be gotten elsewhere, mainly in reduction of fuel consumption through digital means. It is, of course, also very important to consider the safety at sea. And many of the accidents, or the big accidents that we have seen in the later years, have been caused by human errors, or in most cases, many human errors done in a row. The new technologies will enable both humans and machines to do better decisions, hopefully. And I used to work for an engineering company, and I was head of their research and development, and I would always say that the best environmental thing with the current technologies that you can do is to reduce your fuel consumption. And through that means you can be more environmental as well. And this is something that we strive to as well. Now, the last part, what are we doing? This is a very crude map of what we set ourselves to do in 2016 when 1SEA was initiated. We created roadmaps on how to go forward regarding autonomous traffic. We also created test areas, etc. Today, what we mostly see that we work with is actually the subject of the first talk today, standardization. We feel that in order to get the benefits of autonomy and related technologies, we need to have at least APIs to enable communication between ship and shore, between various vessels at sea, between different parties, harbors, etc., piloting and everything. So we need to get standards to this communication in order to gain the advantages. So we're working with standardization. Actually, one of the first things that we have to do is to discuss definitions. There is a lot of confusion, I think, around the world as to people are confusing unmanned with autonomous. Those are two totally different things. And remote control, again, a different thing. All of those utilize, to a certain degree, same technologies, but they're different things. Another important issue is to get the regulation in place. We do have, at the moment, technological solutions, but as long as we don't have international regulations, those technologies can only be utilized in chosen countries where the flag state gives approval for these technologies to be used. And as you know, ships are objects of trade. In order for them to be globally traded, we need to have these technologies regulated on an international level. So that means we put a lot of time and effort into working at IMO with their current scoping exercise where we participate. So standardization, rules and regulations. But of course, I think the important part is what is happening technology-wise. And this was our early roadmap in 2016. The funny thing is that technology has gone forward faster than we expected. So the testing has been happening much faster. This is an actual description of some of the things that have happened. And it is interesting to know that we have at the moment several suppliers who can supply solutions, commercial solutions, where you can go from one place to another by totally having autonomous control over a vessel. Some of the solutions are called auto-docking, and we do also have demonstrations that have been happening, especially in the northern parts of Europe, where I would say road ferries, which are one of the early adapters of these technologies, have shown that these technologies work, and in many cases before the demonstrations, the vessels have trafficked for quite a while with autonomous systems already. So, but that is not the only thing that has happened. There are, as I said, these technologies can be applied in different ways. There is, for example, the B0 concept over here, which means a periodically unattended bridge, and which is something I think it relates to both technology and regulation. It is, I think, pretty clear to people if you are at sea for several days and let's say you're sailing the Pacific Ocean and you don't see much anything than the sea. It becomes repetitive and you stop noticing things. And in these cases, the situational awareness products that have been developed for autonomous purposes can assist the ship's captain and would enable, for example, doing different tasks while being on bridge watch. So I've been told that, or let's say the regulations today state that when you are on bridge, you're not supposed to do anything else. But I have been told, and I am not a master of ship, so I've never been on a bridge like that, but I've been told that in order to alleviate the boredom, the masters often do paperwork. And what this paper tries to claim is that they should be allowed to do that safely, so that technology keeps watch instead of the human, and in such a way that they could do different things so that they would be more alert when something does come up that requires human intervention. Anyway, so many different things that have happened during these years. Technologies are starting to be there. Now it's just to find the commercial applications. For 1SEA, I think this means bringing the digital technologies to shipping. Thank you.